had this. I'll give you an example. We don't know who's going to win the big titles in the men's at all. We can see it happening both ways. There's 3 in the SmackDown one, but we know Daniel Bryan's not going to win that one. But at the same time, we're not sure if Edge is going to win or Roman's going to win. We're not sure if Bobby Lashley's going to win or Drew's going to win. The idea that there's a possibility that could have happened on Raw, where it's like, ooh, Drew might not actually go to WrestleMania, and then it's like, oh, well, Baron Corbin's coming out. Oh, he's going to WrestleMania.
Yes, me. That's still predictability. We know he's going to get a WrestleMania. And it doesn't matter if Sheamus is going to come out there and kick the crap out of him. It's already said and done. I mean, so what? At the go home show, Sheamus comes out. I'm going to take you out. I'm going to destroy you. I'm not going to believe that. Are you going to tell me that on the go home show, the biggest show of the year, your biggest face, one of your biggest face of the entire company, I would say actually he is the biggest face of the company, and they're going to take him out of the main event or a main event type of match on the go home show, even if it was 4 weeks, they're still not going to do that. It's still not believable.
It might be completely believable if you're looking at it from the business perspective, but as someone that may...
Yeah, I am. In a business perspective, it makes no sense.
But let me ask you. I'm asking you a weird question because this is kind of like a fantasy booking thing. If the person came out was Brock Lesnar's music, do you think it's like, oof, okay, there might be a chance Drew doesn't get out of this one?
Absolutely not. I still believe that Drew McIntyre is still going to hoop his second ball with the put Lashley versus Lesnar. Hell no.
I mean, they could.
It would be a terrible booking decision. Terrible booking decision. Why would that be? Because Lesnar does not have this face reaction. You know, he's going to have that much behind. There's no buy rates into it. I mean, a lot of people you have fans that do like that. Right, but your majority of what sense does it really make in a business perspective or storyline perspective?
Well, for me, it's not necessarily that. I always like the idea of the unpredictability. Right, I don't believe in doing swerve to do a swerve, but I do like the idea of having unpredictability. And I just didn't feel like, as someone that can suspend reality for for Drew McIntyre, like, oh well, you know, Bobby Lashley might get away with this kind of thing. Baron Corbin was not the person.
Lesnar would not be the person either. I mean, if Lesnar come out there and first of all, it could turn into a triple threat match. I can believe that. Oh, hey, I'm gonna take out Drew McIntyre. He's not gonna go to WrestleMania. Yeah, right. I'm not believing that because then there goes money. Well, there's no business sense in that. For one, or two. Then what are you gonna do for Drew McIntyre for WrestleMania?
I'm not saying I'm not saying that they should take Drew out of the match. I do think the feeling of unpredictability would have done them better. Is all I'm trying to get at.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, what business does that make? It's basically you're turning into a triple threat match. Is that what you want?
No, I'm not saying the book is a triple threat match. I don't think Lesnar should win it. I just think if I'm sitting at home watching it on TV on Raw, and I hear Lesnar's music hit, I'm like, oh, I definitely got to make sure I watch this.
Well, that's cool, but at the same time, but more importantly, it's cool. It's unpredictability. It's believable that he can take Drew McIntyre out. However,
that's what I'm getting at.
But it makes not a lick of sense. Think about it. What sense? What sense did that? Go ahead.
Do you think WWE would ever put in a situation where they shoehorn Lesnar in just because they think they can get better pay-per-view sales as of the idea of Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley because they're both indestructible and both are MMA fighters? Do you think WWE would ever do that?
Let me I'll counter that. It makes bad business because what are you going to do with Drew McIntyre?
Oh, no. Right. No, I get your point. But do you think WWE would ever do that?
No, they can't. They know where's the money at. Where is it? If you're going to book a heel Lesnar versus a heel Lashley, where's the money in that?
Brock Lesnar squashing John Cena says you're wrong. Like they had Brock Lesnar come in and squash John Cena, who was your biggest guy for years. That's a
different aspect, totally different situation, man. Totally different situation.
No. All I'm saying is that I could see a situation where WWE would shoehorn Lesnar in against Bobby Lashley because they think there's going to be a better sale there.
There is no sale. We're okay. Once again, Where's Drew McIntyre going to be? That's what I'm trying to. It's not.
No. Wrestling fans are going to care about Drew McIntyre. The whatchamacallit, the mainstream fans that don't really care about Drew McIntyre, but like, oh man, that's Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Yeah, I want to see that. That's where they would gear that towards. I am not a fan. Let me make it plain and clear. I am not a fan of that idea. Do I think WWE would do it? Absolutely.
I'm going to disagree. Is Vince is a smart guy. He is a smart guy. You know, sometimes we disagree on his booking decisions. We do. But Vince knows his biggest face of the entire company, period, has to be involved in that. If you have Lesnar to come out and take Drew McIntyre, okay, now we have Drew McIntyre set at home, our biggest face of the entire company, just to have a Lesnar versus Lashley. Oh, well, people will like that too. No. But he knows that business-wise, he knows he has to be intelligent about that. My biggest face of the company that sells, I'm going to take him out at the go-home show to make it believable for one night. It makes not one lick of sense. Okay, so what's the biggest face? So basically, Drew McIntyre sits at home. Is that what that's what you're telling me? Do you think
no? Because again,
no. Let's back it up. Okay, back it up. Like once again, you say Lesnar versus Lashley at WrestleMania. Let's take out Drew McIntyre at the go home show. Once again, makes no sense. I'm trying to ask you, where does Drew McIntyre fit in at? You're not giving me that.
You're focusing on the fact that Lesnar would win. What I'm saying is, if people heard that music, they would be suspended in belief that they think Brock Lesnar is now going to be shooting against Bobby Lashley. I would think it's a bad idea either way. But if I was in Vince McMahon's position, where I think, okay, what's one thing I could do to sell for Raw next week? I got it. Let me see what Lesnar's doing to put this in and have Drew beat Lesnar again as a like, oh shit, Bobby Lashley's in a lot of trouble now. But if you hear that music and you hear Lesnar coming out, you're going to be under this impression that Lesnar's going to win because Lesnar is Vince McMahon's guy and Lesnar is invested in heavily by Vince McMahon. And I'm going to reiterate this. Vince McMahon, when he brought Lesnar back, he had Brock Lesnar squash his face of the company for the last 10 years prior to that. John Cena got thrown around like he was a fucking 5-year-old by Brock Lesnar. Vince McMahon sometimes makes decisions that make no damn sense. I'm not saying that they should do that. I'm not saying that they should take Drew out of WrestleMania because honestly, Drew is probably their money for the next 10 years, right around there. But in the WWE bubble, if they have Brock Lesnar's music come out as a mercenary for Bobby Lashley, people would believe the fact that Bobby Lashley could probably beat him on the Raw before WrestleMania just because Vince McMahon, well, one, Brock is a believable fighter, but also because Vince McMahon has shown that he will bend to that whim of putting Brock Lesnar in WrestleMania no matter what. I have nowhere to put Drew for WrestleMania because I don't think it should happen. That would be against my belief.
If he would do that, let's just say hypothetically. So, okay, you know what? I want Lesnar versus Lashley at WrestleMania. I'm going to take Drew McIntyre out. If you think that it's comparable to beating John Cena at SummerSlam some years ago, it's not. You still have your money in that match. You still have that. You still have that buy rate. You still have that. If you tell me that Lesnar's going to come out to go home show and beat up Drew McIntyre, take him out. Oh, now we're going to change the main event right now to Lesnar versus Lashley. It's not going to happen. That's a different situation, by the way, than what happened to John Cena. Different situation. He at least had a space in there. He at least had the buy rate in there. If you take out Drew McIntyre completely out of that equation, then there goes buy rate too. It's like, get your biggest face. That's money. You can't compare that to the whole John Cena situation. You see what's in there.
Because he kept saying it was the face of the company. Which...
Yeah, exactly. Well, it would be different. Totally different ball game. Totally different if it turned into a triple threat match. But if you're going to tell me that basically McMahon's going to think, oh, I'm going to have Drew McIntyre sit at home now. Here we are just a few days away from WrestleMania. Now I'm going to have it to where Lesnar versus Lashley. Everybody bought a ticket for probably even specifically to watch Drew McIntyre. They're not going to. It's not going to go over well. It's not going to happen. That's a dumbass mistake. It's not in a different situation to having a squash match some years ago at SummerSlam. At least John Cena was there as a buy rate. Now, what do we agree upon or whether that match should have been the way it was at SummerSlam is one thing. But it was not like he took John Cena to not show up at SummerSlam. That's basically, you're saying to have it believable. Whose fault that is?
What you're saying is that it's not believable because WWE wouldn't make a mistake like that. Them having Brock Lesnar beat up their top guy was a mistake. Was a big mistake. They should have not done that. They should have not been a squash. And again, I'm not saying that they should take him out of WrestleMania, but enough people have been familiar with the WWE programming to say that that is absolutely possible. Everyone knows if Baron Corbin comes out there, Drew's going to win.
Honestly, I'm going to have to call you wrong because honestly, if you have Brock Lesnar come out there, the first thing I'm going to think is it's not going to be if Brock Lesnar is going to take Drew McIntyre out of WrestleMania. That's not even the first thing in my mind. Period. I don't even care what the fans say about what's the way Vince is going to book it. No. If Vince is thinking money, 3 big guys in there going for the title. That's my WrestleMania main event. Let's say hypothetically speaking, let's say if Vince McMahon does take Drew McIntyre, it better be for COVID, unfortunately. Whatever. But he's looking at it like 3 big guys going. If he let's just say that she says, I'm gonna have Drew McIntyre sit at home now. How much crap that Vince McMahon's not going to put up with? Not from the fans. That's not going to work with the fans. He don't care what the fans think. I'm talking about the executives and the stockholders and everything behind that. That's how much that's going to be a big void in there. He's going to have a lot of hell to pay. That's a problem.
See, and that's where you and I disagree because I think a lot of people would be like, "Well, you got Brock. That's a better buy rate. That's a better opportunity."
No, because absolutely not. Because the problem is, if I'm an investor in WWE, I know if you're an investor, you should be smart about what the product is. You know, Drew McIntyre is big money. You already know that. If you don't, you need to.
But you're looking at it as Drew McIntyre. You're looking at Drew McIntyre as a Drew McIntyre fan, though.
I'm looking at him as a fan. More importantly, as a business. This is a business. I'm not looking at just he's a baby face, so I like him. No. I'm looking at it strictly as business.
Now, has the numbers been better under McIntyre than in general?
I am not going to take my top babyface out of a main event to put Lesnar versus Lashley. That's terrible business. I would never do that. Now, if I'm going to have McIntyre lose bad to Lesnar at a SummerSlam, different aspect, totally different situation. Would I personally do that? Not totally, but I could put it in more Lesnar's favor. Maybe not a squash match. That's not as believable to me. But I'm not going to take Drew McIntyre out. There's no good business in that, and McMahon knows that, and he knows that stockholders are not going to go along with that either. Why would you take your biggest business product out of your biggest show? Why would you do that for? No lick of sense. It's not John Cena getting squashed at SummerSlam. Hey, Cena's there. The money's already made. The buy rate's in. You wouldn't do that. Hey, I want to take Drew McIntyre out of the main event because I can. Business doesn't make any sense. So basically, I have a hit song, but I'm not gonna put it on the record. But I'm gonna put all these other songs on there. There's no business sense into it.
Okay, you're gonna make a reference to music. No. It's like if you play a show and you got this new song that might be getting a little bit of attention, but you have this one that's definitely a hit. So you're gonna put that one on there because you know you're gonna get a hit out of it.
I'm gonna put both of them on there.
But what I'm saying is a lot of people look at Brock Lesnar as one of those that you're going to definitely get attention with.
Absolutely, I'm not. I never disagree with you. But
I, as a wrestling fan, think Drew McIntyre is better in a sense that one, he needs the time, he needs to be shown, he needs that out there to keep gaining the momentum that he's gaining, and I think he's a better all-around wrestler. You're also going to get more years of mileage out of him. I, however, understand that WWE views Brock as a hit song that they can get out there and play where they can get a lot of attention.
But they're not. If you're going to tell me they're going to take Drew McIntyre, sit him at home while they have Lesnar versus Lashley, no, it's not going to happen. It's not a WrestleMania.
I've seen WWE do worse.
It's okay. You have not. Do that.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
if you're now they have done bad booking, absolutely. Not going to sit there. Okay, what